everyone. I'm Nick Borman of SportsMemo.com, and we're back here for another episode of Onside and On the Green. Today we're going to be focusing on the On the Green portion of the show, which is golf. We have the upcoming RSM Classic coming up this week, and we're going to go through that, preview the course a little bit and some picks. But before we do that, I kind of just want to give a little background on myself. This is my trade, golf. I'm a PGA professional, been so for 15 years now, teaching golf and managing golf courses. So I know the business pretty well, know the game inside and out. At one point, I was a pretty decent golfer when I was back in college playing 6 days a week. But now, as I play once a week, I not quite to that same level anymore. And I guess we got to leave the true players on the PGA Tour. I mean, that level it's beyond what I could ever dream of getting to. And the fields nowadays are so deep. I never quite got to that level. I could certainly hold my own at one point, and was a scratch golfer, but the guys on tour were shooting 5, 6, 10 shots better than I could ever do. So we'll let those guys cash the big checks, and I'll just continue to find some value on their games and try to see between them who I think can be the winners. So before we get into this week's tournament, the RSM Classic, quick recap on this past week, which was the Mayakoba Classic in Mexico. Matt Kuchar was the wire-to-wire winner, which was pretty surprising. That was actually his first win in 4.5 years. I certainly didn't see it coming. He's only started one other time this season so far, which was a tied for 57th last week. And I did not expect him to win this, and I did not expect him to come out playing that well, as evidenced by the fact that I picked against him, and obviously that pick didn't do very well this week. But one other player that impressed this past week was Cameron Champ. He's a PGA Tour rookie this season. He faltered on the weekend. Still ended up shooting 16 under though, and finished tied for 10th. Last week he was in contention at the Shriners before falling out of contention with the final round 73. And that came right after his first PGA Tour win ever at the Sanderson Farms Championship. So he's been playing very well this season, and I think he's somebody to keep your eye on as we go forward. Kuchar actually played with him in the third round and said something like he's definitely going to be the future of golf. So that speaks a lot about the levels of this kid is playing to. So Cameron Champ, remember that name. He'll probably be somebody we'll be looking at week in and week out as we go forward. Overall, last week I released 5 plays. I went 3-2 with an easy best bet winner on Ricky Fowler over Jordan Spieth. Spieth has just struggled all last season. He didn't win, and so he regains that form when he was world number 1. He's somebody I'm going to look to fade every single week. His putting, which everybody, if you watch golf, knew a lot about. He would not even look at the ball on putts of 5 foot, 6 foot, and that's something that has fallen from him. And he was near 130, 140th last year on tour and putting. So until any of that form comes back, he's somebody I'm going to definitely look to fade, assuming the price is right as we go forward until he gets that form back. Of course, one of the picks that we lost last week, was I already mentioned, was against Kuchar. So interestingly, I've either picked on or against the winner in 2 of the last 3 events. With Xander Schauffele is one of my picks 2 weeks ago in the HSBC Champions event. He ended up winning that event, and then of course picking against Kuchar this week. So keep that in mind. Maybe there's whether it's on or against, maybe one of the guys' picks I release will be one of those outright winners, which obviously are where the big odds are when it comes to golf bets. When it comes to my bets, I usually just do head-to-head tournament picks, which is overall score for the head-to-head matchup. Like I said, might be Ricky Fowler versus Jordan Spieth. It's just the winner of that event, of the lowest score for that tournament. And how it works is if one player misses the cut and one player makes the cut, player that made the cut is obviously going to be the winner of that bet. And if both players miss the cut, it'll be whoever was the low score through those first 2 rounds. Over the last 3 weeks, last 3 events, I've had an 11-4 record. We'll look to keep that rolling here in the RSM Classic. This week's event is played at Sea Isle Golf Club in Georgia. It's a uniquely course in the fact that they have 36 holes, and on Thursday and Friday, the field will split evenly between the 2 courses and each play at one of the 2 courses. over the weekend, once the cut's made, they all go to Seaside and play just the Seaside course Saturday and Sunday. So as you're watching scores and watching the tournament live on TV, it's kind of a little difficult to keep track of who's where and what the scores really mean. Seaside course is a par 70. Plantation course is a par 72. Relative to par last year, the Seaside course was actually a little bit harder. The scoring average was 69.2 at Seaside, while it was 70.5 at Plantation. So it sounds like it would be harder at Plantation, but relative to par, Seaside was only 0.8 strokes under par, compared to Plantation was 1.5 strokes under par to the field average. So really everybody's going to have the same opportunity playing both courses the first 2 days, so really no advantage either which way. But it'll be interesting to watch as you go live scoring to see, hey, somebody might be up a shot or two the first day, but it really doesn't mean anything, because as they switch courses, the advantage could then turn. Both courses are not long by PGA Tour standards. They're just over 7,000 yards in length, so rather short when it comes to these guys. So distance is not something I'm looking for when it comes to trying to find value on guys this week. Austin Cook, for example, he's a defending champ from last year. He was tied for fourth in fairways, which is his strength, and then he was tied for second in greens and regulation last year. He also co-led in scrambling, which is obviously a good recipe for success when you're not missing many greens to begin with. So again, another reason you don't really need to look for distance here, more for accuracy and greens and regulation guys to get on around and give those birdie opportunities. This week, I have several plays that I do like. One I'm going to give here for free is Kevin Kisner. He missed the cut last week at the Mayakoba, which was his only start so far this season. However, what we like to call him in the business is he's a course for the course here at Seaside Island. He is the tournament's all-time leading money winner, and he's a past champion in 3 years ago in 2015. He also had two other top four finishes, or tied for fourth finishes, including last year. His weak spot is off the tee. He was 145th on tour last year off the tee, but like I said before, length really isn't needed here. He was 30th in driving accuracy, however, and 13th in overall putting. And that's the reason he's done really well in this tournament over the years. If he can keep in play as he usually does, he should have plenty of birdie opportunities all week long. He's playing against Joaquin Niemann, and he's a PGA Tour rookie this year. He made his professional debut last year at the Masters, missing the cut, which doesn't really say much. Masters is a tough place to have your first event. But in 12 events last year, he made the cut in 9 of them. With 6 top 25 finishes, which is pretty good as a rookie. However, he is a little inconsistent off the tee, and he was near the bottom in the PGA Tour in putting last season. This year, his putting hasn't really improved, and he's really struggled around the green so far this year. He's ranking near the bottom, 197th in scrambling. He did finish top 10 at Shriners 2 weeks ago, but otherwise he finished tied for 83rd, tied for 36th in the events before that top 10. And then he finished tied for 60 last week at Mayakoba. So he barely made the cut, and Kisner barely missed the cut. So there wasn't much of a difference between the guys last week. But Kisner, he's from the area. He played his college golf at University of Georgia and grew up in nearby Aiken, South Carolina. I just like him to come back from that missed cut last week, where he's played several rounds, where he's done well in the past. He knows the area. He's close to family, friends. He'll have a lot of people there cheering for him. So I expect him to come out strong this week and beat Neiman in the head-to-head matchup for the total week. I do have 5 other plays going this week in a package available for sale right now on sportsmemo.com. That package is $39, but for viewers today, I have a promo code available, RSM20, RSM for the name of the tournament, 20. We'll get you $20 off that 5-pack, so it'll be $19 for all 5 plays this week. It's up, like I said, now available on sportsmemo.com, so go ahead and grab that, and I'll look to continue my hot streak and go for a 4th straight tournament win. So that's it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back next week with more soccer and golf picks. So good luck on your wagers this week, guys, and as always, don't get caught offside or in the rough.